Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhodes on the Buy Here Pay Here morning show. Take it away, you two.
Good morning. Happy Monday. We decided, this is a pre-recorded. You've probably already noticed.
Yeah, pre-recorded broadcast because we are trying to make it to the general session or the opening session here at TxIADA.
And they run concurrently what our normally scheduled time is. And we've been going back and forth as yesterday and this morning. We woke up and I went, all right, I'm still open to doing that, Jim. Do you want to do that? So he went downstairs to go get some coffee. And I guess at 6 a.m. the Kalahari, no one's awake here either.
No coffee drinkers here but us.
So we have a lovely cup of hotel room coffee. I've already finished mine. I'm ready to go downstairs and get some as soon as we're done, wrapped up here.
Right.
But
what a fantastic event.
Oh my gosh.
Quite a crowd last
already.
night for the cocktail reception. And
Yeah.
we had a wonderful the tour continued on the smoked old fashioned tour. So if anybody's been following that, we had good participation in that. Everybody really enjoyed those. We had some, including I think Steve Burke might have had his first smoked old fashioned.
I think he
seemed to really enjoy it.
Yeah. It was we put the call out there Saturday. Yeah, Saturday evening and said, hey, we're going to do smoked old fashions. Jim and I, those of you guys who follow us, we did the queso tour, which apparently we're still going to do a little bit of. We told someone, Leslie Hastings, is like, hey, you need to try some curry queso. I'm going to try it.
Yep.
I'm going to try it. So we kind of thought we'd wrapped the queso tour up and we had gone to this restaurant and had a smoked old fashioned. Both of us have had old fashions before, but had a smoked old fashioned. And what a different experience than just a boring old fashioned, the normal one. And so we shared it with a couple of our friends and our friend Bill Elizondo has really run with it. And he's sending us every time he goes out and visits with a new client or a different conference, we're getting a picture of how they do it. And so last night it was pretty cool. Those of you who follow any of the groups or pages that we follow, there's a picture of me opening up this little like bird cage glass thing that pretty cool.
Great
and
stuff.
Yeah, we even got complaints from Jason Gosnell from Buckeye when everyone was starting to clear out. He goes, dude, I ordered one and they said, this like social media group came in and they took all of the round ice balls. So sorry, don't have any more of those ice cubes.
Sorry about that, Jason.
So we did call and warn them the night before when we realized that there were going to be a lot of people, but it was a lot of fun. And it was neat to see people that we haven't seen for a minute. And even though it's only been since NIADA, there were a couple that I didn't see at NIADA that we saw last night. And it was really nice.
And Bill is out there leading the charge. I don't know how many states he's now had a smoked old fashioned, but he's ahead of us. We're going to have to catch up. But by the way, it's not just us. You folks out there, share your experiences. Put yours on there.
Yeah.
When you get out and have a smoked old fashioned, be sure and roll a little video and share it with the group.
Yep, absolutely. Because they're I mean, if you're a drinker, they're delightful.
Sure.
So a lot of fun last night, seeing everybody and also there's been a couple of people I was waiting in line while Jim was checking in on Saturday and just kind of sitting there with all of our bags, and it was a mountain of bags. That's probably what drew people's attention because we've been traveling for the last month and a half, and so I'm just kind of sitting there being, just patiently waiting, and I forgot the name left me.
Oh, I think it's Mark Jones. I wasn't there, but it sounded like we concluded it was Mark Jones.
He comes up to me, and I've never met Mark, and very, very nice man, and I've heard wonderful things about him, especially when I told Jim
Me too.
that he came up, but he comes up and he kind of looks at me coyly and he goes, Michelle, And I'm like, I don't know who this person is. Yeah. And he goes, I'm Mark, da da da. And I uh I I recognize you from the morning show. And I was like, oh wow, okay, right on.
Right.
So just came to let us know that they really enjoys what it is we're doing. And
Right.
and it's just, it's funny. A lot of people have been mentioning we really enjoy this. And the first thing that I can think of is it's just fun. We're just playing. We're having a great time.
Yeah, there are several people. I think what this tells me is that we do have a following. I think we're up to like 4 followers now. So that's good stuff, right? I mean, that's a start.
Great stuff. Besides ourselves and my mother.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So that was pretty fun. There's been a lot of really good feedback from that. But we're not just going to talk about our adventures yesterday, and although that there's more to tell. But
yeah, quick shout out. I got to at least say something about the Kalahari Resort. For those of you not been here, what a great facility, especially if you want to bring the family and do indoor water park, outdoor water park. I mean, just tons of stuff.
Or if you just want to pretend you're a kid again,
yeah,
or just like act like a kid.
Yeah,
There's
so much good stuff. Yeah. So anyway, that's just outside of Round Rock, Texas, which is north of Boston, and so we've really enjoyed being here for the first time. Yeah.
We're planning on sticking around an extra day, and we're gonna hit the water park.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, have some fun, do some tubes. Have a really great time out there. So it's really it's fantastic.
After we do our morning show.
After we do
Wednesday
morning
show, we do White Hat Wednesday, and we have a fun event there. We've got Rick Reeves and Tommy Brandis, who are both scheduled to be with us. And Rick has a presentation. He has something he wants to present to Tommy. So I would urge those of you that know Tommy Brandis from he's a dealer in Pennsylvania, been out there 30 years, and started the BHPH Success Facebook group that many of us participate in. And so you want to be there to hear Rick present a little something to Tommy.
Yeah, that's a pretty special thing. Right. And I think it was all kind of started from when we did NABD last fall, and Jim moderated a panel, and all of the panelists were from the school of Rick Reeves.
Right.
And it was a little surreal for the entire group. So
for that matter, I was from the school of Rick Reeves. So so we look forward to having Rick on the show Wednesday.
That's true. So like I said, we have a couple of other things we wanted to be able to talk about. And we were thinking last night about, we know that this recording will go out at 8:00, and we wanted to make sure we made it to the opening general session, and then we're speaking at 10:30. And so we kind of thought that we would talk a little bit about what we're going to be talking about, which is we were asked to speak on business planning,
right?
About knowing where to go,
right,
with your business plan. And man, we've thought an awful lot about what that means, because usually when you talk business planning, it's like you go to the the kind of stuff you do at the Small Business Administration, where you're writing this formalized plan that you can take to the things and do the stuff. And we kind of went back a little bit further and then forward a lot more than before you actually write your plan. And Jim, there was a quote from Mark Burkholder.
Right.
Yeah, that we used.
Yeah, and Mark, we told Mark a while back that I've been borrowing his phrasing when we talk to dealers, even brand new dealers.
Yeah. So those of you who don't know who Mark Burkholder is, he's from Peachtree Planning.
Right.
And he is a buy here, pay here succession planning expert.
Right. And probably things outside of buy here, pay here. Yeah. Exit planning, succession planning is kind of Mark's deal. And so, when I heard Mark share this thing, and he was on our podcast, our Tote the Note podcast a while back when we talked about Blue Sky, but Mark says to many of the dealers that he works with, he says, you're going to leave the buy here, pay here business one of 3 ways. He says, you're going to sell your business to an insider, you're going to sell to an outsider, or you're going to die at your desk.
I love that last one.
It's just, and he's obviously purposefully being dramatic, but it's like, we think about it. Those are the scenarios, aren't they? You're either going to live out your final hours in the buy here, pay here business, or you're going to have exited through one of two ways.
Yeah, and it's funny though. As we've talked about this, and we talked to a lot of dealers across the country, and I can say with a pretty solid a surety that I understand that no dealer we've talked to wants to die at their desk. That is not their plan.
They have to
die
have a
at
plan
their
though to
desk.
avoid it.
But then when you ask them, do you sometimes feel like you're going to be dying at your desk?
Yeah.
That is the answer that is frequently, yeah.
Yeah, and on the morning show weeks ago, we talked about that whole concept about the hamster wheel. So if you don't intend to die at your desk, what's your solution for how you get off the hamster wheel? Because the hamster wheel has you dying at your desk, right? If you can't figure out how to get off the hamster wheel. So I think what you're basically hearing is in our session today, we're going to be going on at 10:30 this morning here in Austin, and we're going to be talking about this idea of how to create a business plan that will be achievable and will take you to where you want to go with your business so that you can absolutely create a plan that helps your business become sustainable. And it helps you to navigate that scenario that we're talking about is how do you business that survives you? Will it still produce income for your family if you're gone? Or what if it's one of your key people that happens to be the one that gets struck by lightning or in South Texas gets rattlesnake bit, and so now it's like, what happens if how can we set up a business? How do we create a plan that makes sure we navigate those things and that we're as sustainable as possible?
Yeah.
And
so like those of you who listen, know that our foundational principles that were founded on what we call the White Hat Way, which is ethics and it's the idea of the old kind of cowboy rancher farmer who is true to their word, is transparent, is a handshake means an awful lot. They'll look you in the eye when they talk to you. That they're telling you the truth. They're going to stop and they're going to help. They're neighborly. They're neighborly. They find out that you've been bit by that rattlesnake. That they're the first ones that are going to come over and say, "Hey, do you need help baling your hay?"
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Or they're going to be like that old joke with the doctor and it says, "You're going to die." Yeah.
That's a funny one.
Yeah.
But the first place that when we were putting this together, the first place when you're working on a business plan is to figure out what are your principles,
right?
What are your founding pieces of who you are and how you want to be known,
right? So we're going to introduce this idea of kind of building a car. Like if you think about your business as a car. So in our session today, we're going to introduce this idea that if you think about your business as a car and you set out to build this car, how can you build a car that really produces the outcome that you're looking for? Right. So that's kind of what we're thinking about. And so quickly back to the White Hat Way thing, I would just say that, my growing up in Western Oklahoma on farm and ranch, that's where I learned about character and integrity and all this stuff you're talking about, the handshake deals, it's where you really learn that. So we're trying to bring those things to this business. And so when we think about building this car, we want to really start we think about the chassis as being, the foundational pieces. When we start building this car from the ground up, we feel like we need to build this business plan and this business based on principles.
Yeah.
So that's why, we really think, and I wrote an article some years ago about, the third P in our business, P and P being policies and procedures typically. And the third P is philosophy, which we could also say principles. It's like, in order for us to really build a business plan that creates the outcome we're looking for, makes the business sustainable, right? And allows us to create that culture, which also facilitates our sustainability, then starting from principles is really going to be important, making sure that we start there and construct everything we do off of that.
Yeah. And we've that's one of the things with all of our clients that there's two exercises we have them go through. Because even ones that have been in the business for a long time. And so, even if you're not new into the business and, you want to figure out how to write an effective business plan because you're looking for capital or whatever it is, even if you've been in for a long time, it's a good idea to dust off what is your plan.
Mhm.
And, it goes back to that Mark Burkholder. Do you want to diet your desk? Do you want to sell to an insider? Do you want to sell to an outsider? And in order to have something of value to sell, especially if you're going to someone as an outsider, is that you really need to be clear about a lot of those pieces. We've talked about the principles, the founding pieces. Another one of those, Jim actually said it a second ago. It's your policies and procedures.
Right.
As you are building. Regardless of, if you're new and you are starting to write your policies and procedures
Mhm.
now, you are so far ahead of a lot of dealers out
Absolutely.
there. Jim is always doing surveys. You probably see a lot of that, going up on different Facebook, social media pages. He did it was a phone kind of interview survey about a year or so ago, and asked for a bunch of dealers if they'd volunteer to talk to him. And it was one of the questions that he asked is, if something happened to a key person in your organization, your the manager of collections, your head underwriter, whatever, if something happened to them tomorrow, what would happen in your organization?
Right.
And it was not shocking, but it was like, oh my gosh, so many people.
When I asked the question, I got a lot of,
Oh,
you can't hear that.
crickets. They're like,
Yeah. What happened? Yeah.
yeah, not exactly. They didn't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. I may have to like step back and rethink, and I don't want to have to close my doors, but I don't know. So, and that was tied into, do you have your collections, whatever,
Mhm.
those procedures, what it is that they do daily, what it is they do weekly, what it is they do monthly or quarterly, how do they handle an account, and how they handle an account, you can kind of see that's tied back to your principles.
Right.
And so, are these policies and procedures, do they filter through the principles? Do
Mhm.
they align with what your principles are?
Right.
And so, if you, in dealer land, if you don't already have your policies and procedures, first we're going to start you with really figure out who you want to be known as within your organization and without.
Yeah, I think when Michelle and I speak, you will find this will kind of be a theme of what we talk about, because what we see, we work a lot with startups, people that are
Mhm.
brand new in business, and they'll ask a lot of questions. And I find myself having to answer their questions with questions.
Mm,
Meaning,
yeah.
they'll say, what kind of pay plan should I have for a collector? Well, you know, you want your pay plan to sort of stimulate certain practices. Well, the other
Mhm.
thing that stimulates practices is your principles. So you kind of need to, start from principles. So I often ask the question. I mean, often the question is sort of along the line of, how do you want to be known in your community? Like, do you 3 years from now, when you bump into your customers, how do you want those conversations to go? Like, how do you want to be known? Because those things that will affect how you price your car, where you set interest rate, how you do a warranty. Well, how do you want to be known? Let's think about this. But also, I think as importantly for us, because our clients are the dealers, right? And so the
Mhm.
dealer, we're trying to help them create a business that doesn't place them on that hamster wheel, that makes the business as marketable and sustainable and manageable as possible, so
Mhm.
that they can take their vacation and be able to be away from their business some, and have a business that can be transferred to somebody else and have some real value. Like, we definitely focus a lot on blue sky value, try to help dealers create value in what they do. And then I think the biggest piece that we're trying to say, and you would hear us if you were in the room in Austin, we're going to basically ask the question, are you working for your business, or is your business working for you? Like, it's like, are
Mhm.
you, what are we doing here? Do we own our business, or does our business own us?
It's that whole, where if you were to ask a dealer, is your plan to diet your desk? They're like, no. Well, does it feel like you're going to die at your desk?
Right.
Are you spending 50, 60, 70 hours a week at the dealership? Because that's a really quick way. That's a nice smooth track for you to end up. If we're not creating the ability for your team to be able to continue forward, because they're really clear about what it is that needs to be done and how it needs to be done, and that they've all bought into, what those, how they're going to treat the customer. Because I mean, if the reason why you can't leave is because your people aren't going to know how to, you got to monitor that. How do we talk to them? How do we help with the situation or not help with the situation?
Yeah. So I think, that gives folks an idea of what it is that, we would be talking about, and kind of how we would approach business planning and strategy. And, we really believe in kind of starting from, setting up principles, at least addressing the principles. Let's make sure. And because having your principles well established is going to help you create the vision for your business. It's going to help you create your business plan. And now, your typical business plan is not going to have the black and white parts of the policies and procedures. Like, your bank's not going to ask for your whole policies and procedures. But I think you would want to present a plan that's sort of like, here's the car we're building. It starts from the chassis. Here's what the chassis is going to look like. These are the principles we're founded on. And then it's going to go into, this is how we're going to build the car. This is how it's going to operate. And this is where it's going to go in 3 years.
Yeah. And then, because we've been trying to help different dealers with that are getting into the business for capital. And some of the questions we're asking, so what are your policies for this? What are your policies for that? They want to know what the policies are. But that's from the beginning side. From the end side of this, this journey of being in buy here, pay here. I hope that you all can really grasp the value of your business to someone that's either in it, or if you want to sell it to an outsider. The value of your business beyond the liquidations of your assets.
Right.
That this is a business that is a well-running, well-oiled machine, and that all the team, everybody there, even the customers, understand who you are.
Yeah.
And what your principles are.
And it's built on something that increases the likelihood that the business will be the same next year as it is today. So that's really important, because that's if you think about those dealers who feel like they can't take a vacation, we meet dealers that we feel like they're one fuel invoice away from a ride to the hospital,
massive coronary.
Yeah. So it's like, you have to think about, so we really think about, how do we create our biz in a way that it is sustainable, that we can be away from the business for a time and have it function the same.
Exactly. So, we're at the beginning, at the end, and then how valuable is this during your day to day? It's, we were talking with one of the panelists, Govinda, last night, and he mentioned that he was away from the dealership for a couple of days, and but people know. They know what to do, so he feels really confident of being able to step away.
Good.
And that everything's going to be fine while he's gone. Well, knowing him, it's because he's been really clear, and he's been. They have. This is who we are. This is how you do the thing. Let's move forward.
Sure.
And so I really, really encourage all of you, if you don't have your business plan or your vision of your business, that you start with your why. You start with your foundational principles. It's like this is who we want to be known internally within the team, who we want to be known as with your customer and your community. Build upon that your policies and procedures. And just watch how much easier it is for you to do things like delegate.
Sure.
And be able to step away so that you can attend your child's ballet recital.
Right.
That happens at 3:00 in the afternoon on a Friday.
Right.
Or whatever.
Yeah. So I think we probably wrap up by just saying, if you if you're setting out to, maybe you're rewriting a business plan, maybe you're well established and you're doing an update. I would just say, you know, beyond policies and procedures, I would start from a place of philosophy and principles and purpose. You know, now you can build all those other things on that foundation, and you'll have a business that has a chance to be around to create that real culture that is kind of a hard thing for people to grasp. But if you really want to create culture, it's got to start with us as the dealer principal, and it's got to really be, you know, written in a really foundational way that everybody can understand it and buy into it. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that really rings true to you and you need a little bit of help, please feel free to reach out to us. We do this kind of stuff frequently with our clients, and you know, because we just our one of our main goals that is built upon our principles is we really want to be able to leave this industry better,
Right.
and that we our mission is to help dealers be better.
Sure.
Not just make more money, but
Right.
be better.
Yep.
And so I hope you guys all have a great week this week. We will be live on Wednesday from the Kalahari as well. It'll be the day after. We'll probably have a lot of different things to talk about,
sure.
the experience from the next couple of days. And we hope that, you know, if any of the people here actually listen to this in between the different sessions, come up and say hi, because I really, really do enjoy getting feedback from y'all, and even suggestions or whatever, because this, you know, it's fun for us, but it's also for you.
Right.
So,
and if anybody happens to hear it between now and 10:30 a.m., come join our session.
Yeah. 10:30 a.m. and it's going to be on business planning. We didn't give away all the nuggets.
No,
Yep.
that's some good stuff. So thanks for tuning in,
All right.
folks.
Have a great day, guys, and we will chat with y'all later.